kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, the Martial Arts Podcast, where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Brett. Brett, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, sure. Hello, my name is Brett Thomason. I'm a lifelong martial artist and sport karate competitor. I focus on building kids into confident leaders. We talk a little bit about competition, that really has taught me how to perform under pressure, and kind of moving into teaching that to kids. That's really kind of what I do, and that's kind of my passion.
Awesome. Great. Tell us how you got started in martial arts.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in the 90s, and like every kid in the 90s, I was into the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. And Ninja Turtles were really my thing. My brother and I, we had all the toys. We'd watched the cartoon. When my first concert was going to see the Ninja Turtles when they did their concert tour
No way.
thing.
That's awesome.
Crazy, right? And so that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to, as much as I could, I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, right? And so even today, now 30 years later, people ask me, why do you still do this? I'm still not a turtle. That's my driving thing. No, but I loved Ninja Turtles. I loved Power Rangers. My mom decided that I had asked over and over again if we could do karate. If I could do karate, I wanted to do karate. And she decided that she was going to take me to the local school up the street. Looked in the yellow pages. The first one was All-Star Karate. She called him, set up an appointment. We went in, and just so happened to be a good school. She was very hesitant, very, very hesitant to sign me up for a commitment of maybe 6 months or something like that at the time, a 6-month program. And she had no idea how her little 6-year-old was going to be able to handle this 6-month program. Here we are 30 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Still committed past the 6 months. That's great. So I fairly early on have been trying to get in the habit of asking this question, but the hope is that maybe there's somebody out there that was in a similar situation to you. They haven't started martial arts yet, but they've been Googling it. And so this podcast comes up into their feed and they watch even the first little bit. What advice would you give to anybody that's watching this that's not a martial artist, but is thinking about starting?
Do it. Try it. That's the advice I would give with, obviously I'm very biased towards martial arts, but but towards anything. When you're curious about something, when you're ready to make the commitment to something, make that commitment, make the jump
Mhm.
and try it out. Go and see what it's like for you. Talk to some people. Don't just sit on your own and try and research or do something. Get
Mhm.
out there and talk to someone. So go into your local martial arts studio, make a couple phone calls, set an appointment, go in and see what it's all about.
Mhm. Excellent. Okay. So now we ask what everybody's been coining as the difficult question on my podcast. And this question starts with an omission. As a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, 32 years martial arts practice, 18 years of instruction. It'll be 33 and 29. I said 18, 28. It'll be 29 years and 33 years, May 20th. So I too am a life longer. I recognize I'm equal parts sadistic and masochistic, and I'm probably in the minority. The average person that walks through the dojo doors are not those things. So then the question is, how do we teach nonviolent people to speak the language of violence when it's necessary?
This is something that comes up a lot in classes. We are a very competition heavy studio,
Mhm.
and our program is that. And still, that competition team only makes up 10% of my students, right? But every single one of my students, when they come in, like we have to do some sparring. We have to do some pressure testing in our self-defense. We have to do something live. And how do we get there? We don't just I teach mostly kids, but even with adults, with people who come in for our women's self-defense seminars, with our men who want to develop more confidence or really feel safe when they're out in the world. How do we get them to that point? Well, we have to build people up step by step, right?
Mhm.
So when you bring in, your little 5-year-old daughter for her first martial arts class, we're not throwing her out there to go first person to bleed loses, right? That's not the goal yet, right?
I know some 5-year-olds would be down for that.
I have so yeah, my daughter personally, I think would if it was time to turn it on, I think she'd be there. But that's a really scary thing for parents, for kids, for anybody stepping into a martial arts studio for their first time. Like, what is it going to be like? And that's the thing that I think keeps a lot of people back. It's a thing that keeps a lot of people away from really what we do.
Mhm.
And so how do we get there? I think it's step by step. It's not on day one, it's not on day two. And everybody kind of has their own journey. Some people come in and they are ready on day one. They're chomping at the bit. They're ready to get in there. They're like, okay, let's give me give me some gloves, or we don't even need gloves. Let's just go. Let's fight. But most people are not that way, right? Most people are not that. So we take it step by step, and each student is really kind of on their own journey in that aspect. Just like some people, if you're doing a form or a kata, like some people come in and they can learn them very fast, and some people struggle with that.
Mhm.
Some people can't remember the movements. If you're doing self-defense, some people are very comfortable just grabbing a partner. Some people need some space. They need to get comfortable first. Right?
Mhm.
So everybody's kind of on their own journey. And I think as an instructor, you have to realize that, and you have to help those students get there step by step.
Absolutely.
We always have this goal. We always have, this standard that we want to meet, but how do we scaffold and how do we help get our students there? And I think that's not just with martial arts. I used to be my degrees in education. I used to be a high school English teacher, and we
Mm.
would do the same thing with kids who were struggling with anything. If they were struggling to read, like, we don't just throw down, some big crazy book. We don't throw down War and Peace in front of someone who's struggling to read, right?
Sure.
We scaffold. We start them out with something a little bit easier, and we
Mhm.
work our way up. We identify the problems and the struggles that they have, and we hone in on those, and then we highlight their strengths as well,
Mhm.
right?
That's great. How did your previous job make you a better martial artist and a better martial arts instructor?
Well, so I started teaching my own classes,
Mhm.
my own martial arts classes at 13. And I
Mm.
started I started helping in some classes and then teaching some little kid classes and kind of worked up. At 16, my first job was teaching in daycares. So
Mhm.
we had programs where we would go and teach in the daycares, and at 16, instead of getting a job at McDonald's or something like that, instead of flipping burgers, I was playing with nunchucks, right?
Right.
So
Very similar. Very
get to
similar.
go in and hold the pads for the kids and teach them how to jump, and that really is what kind of ignited my love for teaching.
Mm.
I went to college, got my degree in education, went and started teaching high school, and that was really just an extension of teaching martial arts. Uh,
Mm.
I really see myself as an educator
Mhm.
more than just a martial arts instructor.
Mhm.
We try to teach the whole person, right? And so even when I was teaching high school, even instead of just saying, "Well, I teach English," the whole thought behind it was, "I teach kids," right? And so that's what I see now as well. I don't teach martial arts. I do, but I don't teach just martial arts. I teach children. What do I teach them? I teach them martial arts. I teach them
Mhm.
confidence. I teach them how to set goals and achieve them. I teach them how to defend themselves. And that's really the biggest thing that I pulled from my previous career. There was a lot of continuing education
Mhm.
in that field, a lot of continuing education on how to treat kids and how to reach kids who were struggling.
Mm.
And so that's where I think a lot of the kind of the scaffolding that I have comes from. A
Mhm.
lot of the meeting people where they are, and a lot of helping kids see what the future is, like where they could be. If you have
Mm.
someone who walks into your studio now and they they're maybe a little bit scared or a little bit nervous, or like you said, they're not quite ready for that level of intensity.
Mhm.
They most of the time can't even see themselves. They'll think, well, I could never do that. And I
Right.
think it's so important to help give them steps and guide them to there, so that eventually they can say and see themselves as someone who could do that.
Excellent. To the martial artist that is studying martial arts, is thinking about competition, but hasn't done any competition yet, what advice do you have, and a strong why they should?
Competition is so hard. It's so hard to get into.
I said why, and you're like, it's hard.
Competition is so hard to step into.
Mhm.
If it's something that you've never done before, it's so, so, so difficult, and that's okay, right? None of us have ever nothing that we've ever done that was worthwhile was easy, and we took to it just like that, right? So, as my background is in a lot of open sport karate competition. My instructor was Terry Kramer. He was very big into that scene and still is. He's very, very good, very well respected in that circuit. I myself I've competed a lot on the NASCA sport karate circuit, the WKA, WKU. I've been fortunate enough to travel around the world kind of doing this thing that I like to do. I've had a lot of great opportunities doing it. And through those opportunities, I've met a lot of my best friends
Mhm.
through those opportunities. I've had a lot of experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I've been able to meet people and cross cultures, have experiences that just never would have happened without competition.
Absolutely.
Beyond those types of experiences, I learned how to set goals,
Mhm.
kind of work hard and overcome adversity, right?
Mhm.
I don't think that it's great to only go places where you can win.
Sure.
So I said competition is hard, right? And I think you need to struggle a little bit to
Mhm.
learn how to overcome that adversity, right?
Mhm.
So I take my own students places, and if we're winning in a division, we're moving up. We're moving up to the next division. If we have it locked down on this local circuit, we're going to go out to the regional circuit or to the national circuit. We're going to put ourselves in positions where we're not always going to be the best, because it's not necessarily about winning a plastic trophy, right? Or
Mhm. Right.
like, get that on Amazon if you want it. right? We could host a little in-school tournament and everybody get a medal and a high five, and we'll do some of that stuff to help
Hmm.
scaffold,
Yeah,
to work
yeah.
our way up, right?
Hmm.
But we want to put ourselves in a position where it's hard. It's hard, it's difficult. And that's where we can really set goals and we can see some growth. So we want to put ourselves in a position that it's hard and it's difficult, but there's still a little bit of that safety net to continue to
Hmm.
allow us to fail
Hmm.
and then grow from that failure, right?
Hmm.
So we have a lot of students who come in, or a lot of parents that after they've been here for a little while will say, okay, it's time. Let's go do a tournament. Let's go do this competition. And they're hesitant. They're not sure about it. And I think that's a disservice if you're not doing that, if you're not pushing yourselves to
Hey.
go to a new level and to go to somewhere where you're uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, I had a student just a couple weeks ago say, we have another tournament coming up, and his mom said, he really wants to talk to you. He's 8. He really wants to talk to you. He's ready to do his forms. He's ready to do his weapons. He does not want to spar. He does not want to fight at this tournament. He's scared. So
Mm.
I sat him down and I said, okay, what's going on? And he said, I don't want to fight at the tournament. I'm scared. I said, it's okay. You're scared. And he went, good. Then I don't have to fight. And his mom started laughing. And she goes, that is not what Sensei just said.
Yeah, right.
It's okay to be scared. It's
Hmm.
okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that we're going to shy away from it. It doesn't mean we're going to back away. Right? Now, this is a student who's been around for a couple of years. He's very, very young, right? But he's been around for a couple of years. I know who he is. I know the competition that he's going into. I know the rules. I know the promoters. I really know the people that he's going to compete against, probably, right?
Right, right.
He's going to be fine.
Hmm.
But pushing him past that feeling of,
Hmm.
I don't think I can do it. That's kind of what coaches and teachers and mentors do, right? Is they help
Absolutely.
players.
Absolutely.
And so this young man, he's going to go to this competition. He's going to do fine.
Hmm.
I've known him for a long time. I like his technique's good. He's fine. He spars in class. He does fine. He's going to do fine. How's he going to feel after that competition when he goes out and he wasn't ready to go?
Hmm.
Thought he wasn't ready to go. He's going to listen to his coaching. He's going to do his best, and he's going to go out and he'll probably do pretty well.
Hmm.
How's he going to feel after that? He's going to know, well, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that scary. Maybe I can do this. So I can do hard things. That's what I think competition gives people. I think competition gives people the confidence to do the things that they didn't think they could do before.
Hmm. That's a great answer. And it also always confused me because as martial artists, like our kind of stick is let's do the difficult thing. You
Right.
know, like how many martial artists right now or later this evening are going to be in a dojo or a gym or a school or a dojang or a kwan and throwing the kick that they can't throw 1,000 times because they can't get it and it's difficult and they've got to do it. And I don't see why there's any difference between that and just do the competition.
Right. Right. Do the hard thing. It's what we're doing, right? Every
Yeah.
belt test, every competition, every class, every drill is
Mhm.
like, well, if it's easy, we're not kind of doing it the right way.
Right.
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 So we should be pushing ourselves.
Hmm.
All right, warm-ups. Let's warm up. We're doing push-ups. Well, last week I could do 10 push-ups. This week I can do 15. Next week I should be able to do 20, right? Or however
Right.
it goes.
Right. Right.
Right. We should be pushing ourselves each time. So we're not just sitting back and doing the easy thing.
Absolutely. What advice do you give to people as far as training or tech on a technical side for competition?
Find a great coach.
Hmm.
Not just for competition, that's for anything, right?
Mhm.
Whatever goals you set, find the people who have been there, find the people who know how to do it, and find the people who are going to pull the best out of you, right?
Mm.
As far as competition goes, Listen to your instructors. That's the number one thing. Listen to your instructor. Listen to your coach. Listen to your sensei. Listen to the person who has your best interest at heart and has maybe a little bit different perspective than you do. Last weekend, we were at a tournament and my son fought and he does a great job. This weekend, he lost and he wasn't listening. He didn't do the things that I knew he could do. And afterwards, he's a little bit upset. We're kind of debriefing. We're kind of talking about it. And he said, he didn't tell me this. He told his mom, told my wife that he was mad at me. He was mad at me because I kept telling him things to do that he knew he wasn't going to score with. And my wife goes, well, don't you think that dad has like a pretty good idea of what to do? Mind you, he's in the 7 and 8 year old beginners division. Don't you think dad has a pretty good idea of what you could do? He said, yeah. Don't you think dad could see what was going on in the fight? Well, yeah. Why didn't you listen to him? I don't know. I just thought I knew. Okay.
There it is.
All right. So listen to your coach, listen to your sensei, listen to the person who has your best interests at heart. Find the people who can do what you want to do and listen to them and then expand upon it.
It's a great answer. You're going to have a handful when your kid is 15.
We're ready for it. We're ready.
Just saying, if he's already mad at dad because dad's telling him stuff that he knows won't work.
Yeah.
Goodness. How has being a father helped you as a martial arts instructor?
So, like I said, I started teaching when I was very, very young, right? And until I had kids, I thought I knew, okay, this is kind of what the parents think. This is kind of what the parents want. This is kind of what the kids need. And I was wrong about all of it.
This is an excellent answer.
Not all of it, but
this is an excellent answer.
There's having my own kids has definitely given me a different perspective on kids. But being an instructor and being around kids and being around so many throughout the years, so many kids and so many parents, I've had so many great examples on what to do as a parent, and more than a few examples of what not to do. Right. And so I've been able to draw a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience from just the families who were in my schools, the students that I've had from all different ages, and kind of how to deal and work with my own kids on whatever issues they have. Right. It also was very eye-opening. I would have throughout my whole career, I've had parents bring their kids in and say, oh, well, Sensei Brett said to do it like this, or Sensei Brett says this, or, hey, can you talk to my kid? I really need him to do X, Y, Z, and he won't listen to me, but he'll listen to you. When my son was 3, he started taking classes, and in his class, I taught his class, but I had an assistant instructor who was, a 12-year-old green belt, and I would often, when he was brand new, first starting in that tiny champs class, that 3 and 4-year-old class, I'd put that assistant instructor with him so that dad wasn't always the one telling him what to do. Well, later on, I start giving him some corrections and I say, hey, bud, you need to do it like this. And he said, well, the assistant instructor said to do it like this. That 12-year-old green belt, in my son's eyes, had more authority than me and had a better idea than me on how to do things, because I was just dad, right?
Right.
So even to this day, I have parents come in all the time and they say, hey, can you talk to my kid about this? Or my kid got in trouble at school for this, or my kid needs to clean their room. Can you help them? Well, I have to do the same thing with our assistant instructors. Hey, go tell my son this. Hey, go tell my daughter this.
That's great.
So I'll go tell some 15 or 17-year-old kid, hey, can you go tell my kid? And then it's magic, right?
Well, however it works, as long as it works.
As long as it works. as long as it works.
So what do you do within your school that's different from other people? Because 10%, you said about 10%, and I'm not holding you to that number, but that's like a pretty solid percent of your students that are actually doing competition. Most schools, the number is not that high, unless it's a competitive only. But then, those numbers are higher. But like sounds like you're running a traditional school that just happens to have a high participation of competition.
Sure. And, I'll say that probably 10% of our students compete pretty regularly,
Mm-hmm.
10 to 12 tournaments a year.
That's
And then
very fun.
probably 30 to 40% of our students will compete once or twice a year, at least.
That's solid numbers.
So we're not really our regular classes aren't really focused on competition all of the time. We will do a lot of competition in our classes. Like we're going to compete to see who's got the best kick or the fastest kick. And then we'll
Okay.
also do competitions versus ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously sometimes you're going to have the same people winning all those competitions. And
Mhm.
you don't want to discourage your people who aren't necessarily the most athletic or your people who maybe are just new. They're white or yellow belts, right? And so we don't want to discourage those people necessarily. So we'll also do competitions versus ourselves. And that's really where it all lies, right? Even if you're a high level competitor, you're pushing yourself to get better and better each time. Your competition is really with yourself. If you're the best person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? So who do you have to push you? You got to kind of push yourself sometimes. So we'll do a lot of competition like versus yourself, like, okay, you've got 10 seconds to throw this many kicks. Let's see how many you can get. Or we can, okay, you hit the bag hard last time. Let's see if you can hit it harder this time, right? So we do a lot of competition in our classes, but also I think that we have some very high level competitors in our video. And I think that our students see those high level competitors and they want to do that, right? Those are the people that they look up to. Those are the kids that they look up to. Those are the people that they want to be like. And then we also, when we go and compete, we make it a community event. So we just went, we're in St. Louis. We're in St. Louis and we went up to Chicago last weekend for a tournament. We took 25 competitors and instead of everybody just going to the tournament on their own, we had a big team dinner on Friday night. We all met on Saturday morning. We had some parents get together and put together some like goodie bags and these little flags for the kids. So we do a lot to try and make it more of a community event. And that's really a kind of a testament to my instructor. When he's traveled all over the world to compete. And when I was probably a teenager, he had a conversation with me and said that, he's been all over the world and he's seen the inside of a lot of gymnasiums and the inside of a lot of hotels and a lot of event centers. And he hasn't really seen the outside. So we made a conscious effort, when I was coming up to, okay, if we go to Florida for a tournament, we're also going to go out and do a thing at Florida, right? If we go to California, we're going to go see California. A couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to go to Calgary for a big tournament. And the tournament itself was a 5-day tournament, the World Championships that had different countries there. Well, we took the week before that to go up to the Rocky Mountains and we hiked in the Rocky Mountains. We went and saw, just some beautiful mountainsides. We went and we trained outside. We had a training camp up there. And so we got to see and do a lot and then got to go explore Calgary a little bit and then go to the tournament. So we get to see more than just the tournament. So it's not just about the competition; it's also about the whole experience. And then we come back and we promote that to our students. This is
Look at
look
what
at
we did.
cool stuff we got to do. Look at the cool stuff we got to do.
That's great. Feels like it builds a stronger knitted community within the dojo. Yeah.
I think so for sure. Our kids are they're not just seeing each other in class. They see each other at the
Yeah.
tournaments, and at the tournaments they hang out too, right? And I know this weekend we had a bunch of people staying at our hotel, but I know that two of our girls, they had like a sleepover in one of their rooms. Both of their parents were there, but these two teenage girls were like, "Oh, well, we're gonna," so they had their sleepover, they hung out, and that's what our kids do is they hang out, they're friends, they like each other, right? And so they wanna be together, they wanna hang out, and that's a cool thing and something that we try to push in the school as well.
Love it. Love it. That's great. Tell me what you think the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their own practice.
I think as an instructor, I know that I don't always get to get my own training in, and I see that from a lot of other instructors and really just martial artists in general. I think a lot of us like to talk. We like to talk and we like to say about, nostalgia is one of the greatest things in the world. And we want to
Mhm.
talk about how it used to be instead of focusing on how it is right now. So I get around that teaching in my own classes. I try and work out with my students. If they're
So,
doing a drill, I mean, I teach, we run 6 classes a night at my studio. So if I'm running those classes, it's really hard for me to find the time between everything else we have to do at the studio and my own family and obligations there.
for
It's really
sure.
hard for me to find time to train for myself. So, and I have other instructors at my studio that help run classes as well, but it's not uncommon for me to be running a drill, especially with my older crews. Just jump in a bag line with them and get my own training in. Or if we're running self defense to grab somebody, or if we're sparring, I'll throw my gear on and I'll fight with a 7-year-old. I'll fight a 7-year-old yellow belt, and we will go hard.
Nice. Do you
But
still
that's
compete?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
Do you
so I
think
do
that
I do
probably
still
helps?
compete. I competed a lot through college. That was my job, was to compete. I had some sponsorships. I worked a lot of tournaments and would go and try and win, teach private lessons, teach seminars. That was my job. And then I had my son. We opened our martial arts studio, and so and then COVID hit. So I took a big step back for a while.
Yeah.
My son kind of got old enough to be interested in competing. I had students who wanted to compete, and honestly, I missed it. I missed the experiences. I missed my friends, and I missed having something to drive myself forward. Right.
Mm.
Uh, so I missed having my own personal goals, and so we went out and we started competing again, and now that's why I compete. I compete now to make sure that I have goals set, to make sure that I have something that I'm working towards, and to really be an example to my own son and daughter and
Sure.
the rest of my students, right? I want to show them that if you set a goal and you work hard and you stay consistent, that good things can happen and you can set goals, and sometimes you lose and sometimes there's adversity, and how do you deal with that? And I think that it's really important for students and my own kids to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is one thing that you would like to give every martial arts practitioner in the world? It could be a thought, concept, teaching technique, philosophy,
I have
and it can only be one thing.
It's want to be one thing. Okay. We'll have to jump back on the podcast sometime, and I'll tell you about my 4 walls theory. I've got a whole theory on 4 walls and what you can focus on and what you can do. That'll take too
Okay.
long. It's too much. Right now, the
Okay.
number one thing I think is the thing that everyone should focus on is finding a mentor. Finding a
Good.
mentor. I think that is the number one thing in your life that can help take you to the next level. Now, what that
Absolutely.
mentor does and what they do for you could be very different. If
Hmm.
you need help with your self-defense, find someone who can really help you with your reality-based self-defense, with
Hmm.
real techniques and real things that will help you. If you need someone If your big goal in life is to be a world champion sport karate competitor, find
Hmm.
someone who is focused on that for you.
Hmm.
If your big goal in life is to be a better person, find someone who can help mentor you in that field and in that way. At my studio, we have a mentorship program, a leadership academy.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been a big retention tool for our teens and our teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
is actually teaching them the things beyond the mat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how to speak to someone, how to look someone in the eye when you speak to them, how
Mm-hmm.
to explain your ideas, and how to lead your peers, how to recognize authority and speak to people who are um, in a higher position of you,
Mm-hmm.
like their teachers or their bosses, and how to gain that mutual respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've actually taken that leadership academy, we've we've moved it, morphed it a little bit in our studio, and we've actually taken it online.
Okay.
And so we have a program now called Youth Leadership Academy.
Very
It's
cool.
ylaignite.com. But our Youth Leadership Academy, it takes all those principles and all those things from martial arts that all those people want: confidence, discipline, respect, focus, all those leadership skills, and kind of packages them in a way that you can learn them and do them without necessarily doing the punching and kicking,
Mm,
you know?
mm, mm,
And so the number one thing I would say that people need is a leader, or is a
mm,
mentor,
mhm.
someone to lead them to where they want to go.
What was the website again? I'll make sure I put it in.
ylaignite.com.
That's cool. And so anybody can kind of just log in and pick that
Yeah,
up.
and so we've got a couple different programs there,
Mm-hmm.
but anybody can get on and log in. And really what brought all of that about was we had a really good, strong leadership program here at our studio. And I started thinking about the kids who play, you know, travel baseball,
Mm,
club
mm,
soccer, AAA hockey, right? Those kids that are very high level, highly competitive, something that takes up all of their time, and they would like to have all these skills. They would like to have all of these opportunities that our students here at the studio have, but they don't have the time because they're off doing their other thing.
hmm.
Now, everybody's not going to be world champion martial artists. Everybody's not going to be
Everybody
someone
should, but
who loves to jump into the ring and punch and kick each other. That's not what
again,
everybody's
everybody
going to be.
should. Everybody
Yeah,
should.
yeah. But they can go on and get all that other information as well.
That's good though. That's great. What's the biggest thing that you think a kid needs to study or learn to be a strong leader?
I think the biggest thing that most kids need now is the ability to focus on one thing at a time. So
I hadn't noticed that people are not focused.
most kids,
Yeah.
most kids today, there's so much coming at us from the world, and
Hmm.
it's hard, and not just kids, but adults too. There's so much happening, and we have to be able to have the ability to focus on one
Hmm.
thing at a time.
Hmm.
I mentioned earlier my four walls theory. If it's outside of my four walls, it's not something I can control, and it's not something I need to focus on. So we take everything kind of one step at a time. And if we can focus on one thing, see it through to completion, that's, I
Hmm.
think, the thing that kids need. Once you can do that, then you can start showing others how to do it, right?
Mm,
You can accomplish things, and you can help others. You can have empathy for others. And I think those are the big things that kids need.
absolutely. So your four walls theory is just about not taking on anything out of your control.
Not quite, not quite. It
Okay.
goes back to when I was teaching high school, and our school was hard. It was a hard school. I taught for 5 years at this particular school. I taught for 5 years, and in that time we had three different head principals. Head principal job
It's
is
rough.
something that you get in a high school and then you keep for 20 years, right?
Right. Right.
We had three. We were in a constant state of flux, and it was not just in our school, but in the district as well.
Mm,
and it trickled down to the kids. The kids felt it. There wasn't really a strong leader. There wasn't someone who was there to really say, I'm here for you, and
Mm.
we're going to figure this out and it's going to be okay, which is what those kids needed. They needed stability. And so everything was in a constant state of flux. I made sure that my classroom was what I could focus on. If it was outside
Mm.
the four walls of my classroom, it was not an issue that we needed to deal with. We needed to deal with what was happening in the room. If I had 25 kids in my class, those 25 kids were what we dealt with. It wasn't what was outside. If we were working on a specific skill, it was that skill that we were working on. It didn't matter what else was happening outside. It didn't matter during the time I was teaching. There was a lot of turmoil in the country with politics, and our students were getting eaten up by it. And not to say that wasn't important or didn't matter.
Mhm.
As an English teacher, I brought in a lot of news stories and a lot of ways to help educate the kids on current affairs,
Mhm.
uh, while also educating them on the things that they needed for their standardized testing, educating them on how to read and dissect what they were actually reading, how to understand what they were actually reading, and then how to communicate their own thoughts in a way that other people could understand.
That's
And
great.
that's what we had to focus on. So we couldn't focus on the media circus going on around us, or even
Had
very
no
literally the kids running down the hallway, right? If the kids are running down the hallway, that is not part of that's outside of our four walls, right?
Mm.
So I do the same thing at the martial arts studio. When there's we're running the business, and there's always something happening with the business. There's always something else that needs to happen. But when we're here inside the studio, we're focused on what's inside the studio. I'm focused on the people inside my four walls. If I have 20 kids in a martial arts class right now, I'm focused on those 20 kids that are inside my four walls right
Mm. Yeah, no, that's great. How did you notice the political climate affecting the kids?
So
Well, I mean, yeah, and I'm not trying to get you to be political. I'm not political, and I don't think that politics belongs in martial arts. Just like the perspective of
so I can tell you exactly what happened, and when I say this, you'll understand why it was such a big deal. So I
Mhm.
taught in St. Louis. I taught
Mhm.
in North County in St. Louis, and I was teaching at the time that Mike Brown was murdered. And so, if you remember that story, that was I believe that he was 17 at the time, and
Mhm.
a 17-year-old kid was murdered in the streets, and whatever side people fall on, whatever they felt about it, none of that
Mhm.
is important. What is important is that there was a 17-year-old young man who was murdered, and
Mhm.
all of my students knew him personally. So that was, and then it was all over the news, all over the media, everywhere we looked. So
Mhm.
these 17-year-olds are trying to learn to navigate life, and something like this happens, and it's in their community. And that was a big life-changing thing for
Sure.
all of those kids. And now we're going to take all of those kids and put them all in the same building in high
Mhm.
school and
And now pass
say,
them an English test.
yeah, yes,
Right.
yes,
Right. Well,
yes.
and the experience that I've had with children is that they are better at doing one thing than adults. And that is they see something and they're like, that really is not good. But then the second thing that they think about in part of weighing their decision is that could have been me. And so you have all those people that are like, my friend died. But then the second thing that they think of is, at least in my experience, has always been, and if he did, I could as well. And so then that's part of their decision making experience. It adds to the levity. And it's also like doubles down the importance of your four walls. Like right now, not only is that what we're not focused on right now, but also right now you're safe, relatively. And right now you're,
And in the theory, four walls, I have 20 kids in my classroom right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to focus and deal with these 20 kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's these 20 kids in my room. We're focused on not just their English score, but who they are as a person. I said earlier, I don't teach martial arts. I teach kids. I didn't teach English. I taught kids. Right. So you have to see people as people and focus on the person. Right. Sometimes, and it happens now with martial arts too. Sometimes I have students come in for class and they're not ready to kick and punch today.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else that happened. There's something else that happened on the bus ride home. There's something else that happened to mom and dad. I have adults come in and if something happened with their aging parents and they're not ready to really throw the perfect kick today, but they need to be around their community. They need to be around their people that they know, like, and trust, and they need to get a workout in and forget about everything else that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I try to keep these at about an hour, and we're steamrolling to that finish line. What didn't I ask? What did you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say?
I loved this. I think that you did a great job covering kind of the whole story from the origin into kind of how sport martial arts has kind of shaped who I am and who my students are. Kind of moving into teaching, and I loved that. Again, my shameless plug for the Youth Leadership Academy, and I have no problem plugging it because I think that it's beneficial and important. I think
Yeah,
that
no.
the skills that those kids learn, confidence, communication, discipline, I think those are things that everyone needs and are not necessarily explicitly taught
Mm,
in our schools, in our martial arts classes, on our soccer teams. I think that those are things that if they're explicitly taught to kids, it really gives them a leg up in life. Again, ylaignite.com, Youth Leadership Academy. Check it out.
how else can the people find you if you want to be found?
Yeah, so sure. So I'm all over social media, Brett Thomason and Youth Leadership Academy, and that's kind of it. So everything from Facebook to Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, I'm on all of it. So
Okay. I'll make sure that I links from you, put them in the show notes.
perfect.
Brett, I want to thank you. I thank everybody for their time because I know time's a precious commodity that is fleeting and we have very little of it. I appreciate you giving of your time to me. I
Of
also
course.
want to thank you because now, and this is the more important things, that you've had this conversation with me. You're part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not. I can't thank you enough for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to, be on the podcast and to get my story out and message out to everyone. And, I love this. The more that people can work together in this world, the better we are.
Together. No novel idea. I actually think that I might have to email you offline about your program. I think I've got some schools that we should try and push it to. I want to thank everybody that watched, listened, or some combination of both to this. I hope you got something out of it. And I have taken to saying if you haven't gotten something out of it, it's probably a lot like a book and you should read it again. So, and as always, everybody, please keep kicking.
Love it. Thank you.